Hey, what's up, everybody? Adam Silverman here with Muletown Digital. And today I want to ask you a really simple question. Do you know if your digital marketing is actually working? I don't mean do you have a gut feeling. I don't mean does your nephew who took a marketing class once tell you it's going great. Do you actually know with real numbers whether the money you're spending on ads and SEO and social media is turning into leads, customers, or actual revenue? Because in my experience, most business owners, and I say this with complete love, they have no idea what their numbers are. They know that they're spending money. They just don't actually know if the spend of the money is doing anything. And here's the thing, it's not your fault or their fault. The marketing industry is not exactly famous for making this stuff easy to understand. It's shocking, right? It's not a easy business to grasp. So today I kind of want to fix that. I want to walk you through exactly what to look at, what actually matters. And this is the important part. What's just noise dressed up in some sort of fancy dashboard? So let's go ahead and get into it. So here's what I see all the time. A business owner comes to us and they're doing everything right on paper. They're posting on social media 3 times a week. They're running Google ads, PMAX or search, video ads, shopping ads. They're having someone do their SEO. They're sending email newsletters. They are busy doing marketing. But then I ask questions like, so how much revenue did your Google ads make last month? And they pause and they stare, and it's crickets, right? Not because they're not smart, they are smart. It's because nobody ever set up systems to actually track what the marketing is doing. So they're spending real money every single month, and they are essentially flying in the mountains blind, right? So this is the part that honestly typically surprises people. Your marketing probably is doing something. It's probably driving traffic to your website. The problem isn't that nothing's happening. The problem typically is that traffic alone or impressions alone will not pay your company's bills. I can get you thousands of people to your website tomorrow if you want to spend money. If none of them buy anything or fill out a form or call you, that 1,000 people is literally worth a big old goose egg. It's worth $0. So the question isn't, is anyone seeing my stuff? The question is, are the right people coming to my website and taking action? That is the shift that I really want you guys to be able to make from tracking activity to looking for outcomes. And to do that, I want to introduce you to a simple framework that we use, and this is called the ITC Framework. Anytime you're running in paid traffic, ITC is there and it stands for impressions, traffic, and conversions. And every marketing campaign you'll ever run, doesn't matter if it's Google ads, meta ads, SEO, email, carrier pitching, it goes through these phases before it puts money into your pocket. Phase 1 is impressions. Someone sees your stuff. Your ad shows up in their feed, a search works, your website is in a search result. They drive past a billboard. This is awareness. It's a necessary first step, but it's definitely not a result. And I want to be super, super clear about that. The T is for traffic. They actually click. They come to your website and now you've got their attention. And the C, which is phase 3, is a conversion. They do the thing you want them to do. They buy, they call, they fill out a form, they book an appointment. This is the result. This is really the only piece of data that moves your business forward. So the framework is ultimately useful because if it's not working, if something's not working in your marketing, it's always broken at one of those 3 phases. And once you know which phase or stage you're in, it's much easier to fix. If you've got low impressions, you've got a reach problem. Not enough people seeing your business. That is a campaign setup or a creative, if you're using Meta, or a budget issue. If your impressions are strong, but your traffic is low, people are seeing you, but they're not clicking. It's probably a messaging problem. Your ad copy, your creative, your headline, your offer, something is not compelling. And when it's not compelling, they're not going to make a move. You can't force them if it's not compelling. And if you've got good traffic, but no one's converting, there's a website or an offer problem. People are showing up. They're just not doing anything when they get there. It could be your landing page is garbage. It could be a pricing issue, a trust issue, an authority issue. But if you know that's the problem, it's something that's actually fixable. So ITC gives you a diagnostic tool. Instead of just saying, my marketing isn't working, you can actually pinpoint where it is that your marketing efforts are breaking down. Now I want to talk about something that I genuinely feel bad bringing up because I've seen it hurt people, and it's called vanity metrics. Vanity metrics, for lack of better terms, are numbers that look really good in a report but don't actually mean anything for your business. The most common offender of this is impressions. People get addicted to impressions. Okay. They're not always helpful. And I cannot tell you how many times I've had a conversation that goes like this. Hey, how's the campaign going? And someone says, oh, it's amazing. We got 2 million impressions last month. If you've ever been told that or said that, you're either being lied to or lying to yourself. And I will follow up with, and how many leads? And every time we don't know. So 2 million people saw your ad, but 0 leads were tracked. That's not a success. That is a very expensive billboard in the middle of a cornfield, basically. And I spend a lot of time in cornfields. And I get it. Big numbers feel good. When your marketing agency sends you a report saying you have 2 million impressions, it's easy to think, oh, we're killing it. We're getting out there. The agency keeps their contract. You feel like something's happening and nobody has to have the weird and awkward conversation surrounding the truth about whether what you're doing is actually working or not. So I'm going to have that conversation with you instead, because frankly, I believe that any business owner deserves it. So we had a client, I'm not going to say who, but they were spending a lot of money on ads every month, particularly in Meta and Google. And the dashboard looked great. Impressions were high, good click-through rate, nice graphs, all the things. It looked like, wow, like how could you ever think about not doing this? But their conversion rate, you guessed it, 0. They were getting in front of all these people that just scrolled past them. And because nobody had set up any sort of conversion tracking on there, everyone kept looking at those impression numbers and calling it a win. But that win is basically draining your bank account. That is the trap. Don't fall into the trap of looking at vanity metrics. So let's get specific, because the way you measure success looks a little bit different depending on what type of business you're actually running. So we work with all kinds of businesses here. If you're a service business, contractor, landscaper, law firm, agency of any kind, consultant, whatever, here's what's probably going to matter to you. A conversion is almost always one of these 3 things: a call, a form fill, or a booked appointment. That's it. Everything else that you're looking at, every other number, is just something that's in the way of driving to one of those 3 things. So you build your tracking system around those outcomes. So at a minimum, you need to have set up Google Analytics, which tells you who's coming to your site, where they came from, and what they're doing when they get to the site. You want to have Google Search Console running. Search Console is going to tell you if you're showing up in search and for what keywords and how often people are actually clicking through to your website. Very important data. And if you're a local business, you want to have a Google Business Profile. Local service businesses, if you're not paying attention to this, we really need to talk. A huge chunk of calls and directions requests come from Google Business Profile. If you don't have it, you should. And then call tracking. This is where people skip often, and you should. If you want to know which one of your channels is generating phone calls, you have to track that somehow, right? There's a lot of systems that do it, but you need to know where those phone numbers are being driven from. Now, I want to say something about what's called attribution, because this is where businesses drive themselves crazy and owners are pulling their hair out over this. You will be tempted to know where every single lead comes from, which ad, which keyword, what channel. You're going to want to know once you see this stuff. You want to know down to the dollar. I completely understand that impulse, but I'm here to tell you very kindly, let that crap go. Just let it go. And here's why. Think about how your customers find you. Maybe they saw a Facebook ad 8 weeks ago. They didn't click on it, but they saw it. They were talking to a neighbor who mentioned your company. Then they Googled your name a month later. Then after they Googled, they got a retargeting ad on YouTube in the middle of some how-to they were watching, and they clicked. Who gets the credit for that lead? Was it the Facebook ad, the neighbor, Google, YouTube? Who knows? The answer is all of them. And also none of them by themselves. That's how marketing works in the real world. And no attribution model is going to perfectly untangle every single customer's journey. What you can do and should do is look at the whole picture. I'm spending this much on marketing. I'm getting this many leads, which makes this much revenue. Do those numbers trend in the right direction together? That really is macro over micro precision, and it'll actually keep you from going insane when you're trying to set up an appropriate marketing campaign. Now, flipping over to my e-commerce folks, good news. You've got it pretty darn easy on e-commerce because your conversion is exceptionally obvious. Someone bought something. The number is right there. This many orders for this much money. There's not really a mystery. And your North Star metric is called ROAS, which is return on ad spend. It's very simple. For every dollar you put into advertising, how many dollars in revenue do you get back? If you spend $100 on Google ads and you generate $400, your ROAS is considered a 4 or a 4x. Dollar in, $4 out. Now here's a nuance that I think may be worth mentioning because frankly, it surprises people. A very high ROAS is not always a good thing. So don't let someone convince you that it is. Having a 30 ROAS, you're probably leaving money on the table. And I get it. More return sounds better. But think about it. If it's really high, like sky high, it means you're too conservative with your spend. So you've got a campaign that's working really well and you're not putting enough money into it. So therefore, you're making more dollars on the physical products because you're saving money on ads, but you're really losing actual potential for money. So the goal is never the highest ROAS. The goal is the right ROAS for your business, one that accounts for your margins and keeps you profitable during growth. So for e-commerce, you typically want to have this kind of stack. Your native platform, Shopify, Woo, BigCommerce, whatever it is, use it. Sales conversion rate, average order value, it's all literally in those dashboards. Google Analytics layered in there as well will help you understand traffic sources and where people drop in and out of your funnel. And then your ads platform dashboards. So Google ads, Meta ads, whatever you're running, you track ROAS, cost per click, and conversion rate for each campaign. And that's basically how it works. So for me, the two numbers I really want to know are how much does it cost you to acquire a customer, CAC, and your customer lifetime value? How much does it cost you to get a customer, and how much is the customer worth to you? In e-commerce, that's the grail. When you know those numbers, you know how hard you can push on paid advertising because you know what you can afford to spend and still come out ahead. You gotta know those numbers or you don't know how much you can spend. And if you don't know how much you can spend, you're leaving money on the table. So let me try to bring this all home. There's three things that I would love for you to walk away with today. Number one, traffic is not a result. Conversions are results. Stop celebrating impressions and page views and track what happens when people arrive. Calls, form fills, purchases. Those are the numbers that we really care about to know if marketing is working. Number two, use the ITC framework when something feels off. Look at your impressions, your traffic, your conversions. The breakdown is always going to be at one of those three stages. And once you know where the breakdown is, it can be fixed. And number three, get the basics set up. You do not need to spend $50,000 in an analytics data stack. If you're a service business, Google Analytics, Search Console, Google Business Profile, call tracking are the keys. If you're in e-commerce, your platform, your dashboard, Google Analytics, and your ads dashboards, that's really it. That's your foundation. I will say this in the most loving way I can. You can't improve what you don't measure. And once you start measuring the right things, I promise you the picture gets clearer and a lot less scary. When you're armed with information, the anxiety of doing this really goes away. All right, so here's where I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. If you guys have watched this video and your action is somewhere between, I kind of feel like I should look at that, or no, I've definitely been staring at impression numbers for 2 years, that's okay. You're in good company. It happens to everyone, and it's completely fixable. Completely fixable once your mind decides that you care. At Muletown Digital, we've got a free digital marketing analysis that we do. We take a look at what you got set up, where your gaps are, give you an honest picture of what's working, what isn't. No smoke and mirrors, no bull crap. It's not beautiful, but we're not building meaningless dashboards here. We're really just looking at your numbers so we can have a conversation with you about it. If you want to go deeper, we have a paid digital marketing analysis where we really dig under the hood. We look at your real numbers, your platforms, and then we're able to come back to you and tell you in the ITC framework where you're broken. Either way, there'll be a link down in the description. Go ahead and check it out. Book some time with our team. If you find this video to be helpful, please subscribe, share. There are probably business owners out there that feel alone in this and would love to hear this. Just leave a comment if you're seeing this on YouTube. Let me know what you think about all this. I'm Adam Silverman. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.